Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology meeting. We're going to call the meeting to order in just a moment, but before we do, we're going to show a short video to explain how this meeting will be conducted and how the public can interact with board members as necessary.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting.
When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras.
Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting.
At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Aloha, everyone. To view the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of the agenda. You'll be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym and other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You will also be asked for an email address. You may fill in the field with any entry in an email format, example, name@email.com. Your microphone will be automatically muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raised hand button found on your Zoom screen to indicate that you wish to testify about the agenda item. If you cannot get internet access, you may get audio only access by calling the Zoom phone number listed at the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you will be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you will be asked to either enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. Your chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chairperson, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking. So please wait until you are admitted. If you do not have a panelist number, please wait until you are admitted into the meeting. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering star, then the number 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering star or asterisk and then the number 9, the voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing star, then the number 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you have finished speaking, please enter star and the number 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access, when testifying, you will be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If connection to the meeting is lost for more than 30 minutes, then the meeting will be continued on a specified date and time. This information will be provided on the board's website. I will now take roll call. The members, when I call your name, please respond present or here. And if you're joining us remotely, indicate if there is anyone with you at your location. Les Murata,
Les Murata is here.
Michael Basta Jr.,
I am here and I'm alone.
Ashley Cornelio,
Hi, I'm here and alone.
and I, Rainette Hall, am present and alone. I'm calling this meeting to order at 12:09.
Just for the record, Mr. Murata, are you by yourself?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Wait. Are we on number 2 already?
Yes, already.
Okay. For agenda item number 2, is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 2?
Thank you, Chair. This is Johnny. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Okay, are there any corrections or amendments to the open session or executive session for the minutes of February 11th, 2025?
No.
No. Okay. I have to motion that we are approving the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes for the executive and the regular minutes.
Yeah, is that it?
I
Wait, was that the
second.
first thing? Okay, there we go.
Oh, you approved it. Okay, I second it.
And we vote, all in favor to approve?
Aye.
Yes.
I
Yes.
Okay. On to agenda item number 3. I love this word, adjudicatory matters. The board will now recess to discuss adjudicatory matters in accordance with Chapter 91 HRS. Staff will move board members into Zoom breakout room.
Thank you.
Hi, Roseanne. What's up, Kevin?
I'm gonna eat my dark almond clusters.
Chair, we're all back in open session. If you want to convene, go on to item number 4. And you are muted. There you go.
Moving on to item number 4. I don't have any verbiage on mine.
Down below, underneath, the board will review the current exams. Isn't there?
Oh, there we go. Okay. So item number 4, examinations and testing centers. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on item number 4?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Okay, the board switched from state-developed examinations to the NIC examinations in March of 2020. Currently, Prometric is the test administrator. The contract between Prometric and the state requires that testing centers be available on neighbor islands. Following COVID-19 pandemic, the Kauai testing facility never reopened. Around 2023, Prometric canceled the contract with the testing centers on the remaining neighbor islands due to conflict of interest concerning the owner of the centers. Staff has reached out to Prometric approximately every quarter to ask about new testing centers. However, none have been opened and testing has only been available on Oahu for the past 2 years. Alan Swartz is here representing PSI Services, which currently has testing centers on Oahu and all neighbor islands. PSI Services does not administer the NIC, but does offer examinations developed by PSI. Discussion regarding changing from NIC exam to PSI developed exam and testing sites. If the board desires to change to PSI developed exam, it can still accept NIC scores if it makes that determination.
So at this time, are there any general questions you have before we ask Mr. Schwartz or Mr. Condor, I see is also here from PSI Services, to just discuss the PSI exams with us? Any general questions?
How similar are the two? That would be my only question. I mean, I know it's developed differently, but.
Yeah, so maybe at this time it would be best if we brought Mr. Schwartz, that's Alon, and Mr. Sean Condor online, and they can respond to our questions.
Sounds good.
Mr. Schwartz and Mr. Condor, if you're happy with it, turn on your camera so we can see you and know who we're speaking with.
Yes, hi. I was trying to do it before, but it wouldn't let me unmute, or I think someone just let me do it.
Awesome, thank you. So I don't know if you heard Vice Chair Cornelio's question about how similar are the two exams?
So we'll run through it. We have a national exam program. So there's obviously certain aspects that are similar, but we develop them in a different way than the NIC, but we'll talk through it. I have like a little presentation if I have the time to do that.
Okay, so we've allotted about 30 minutes. So how long is your presentation? Like 5-10 or something?
I'll go as fast as you need me to, and then I'll leave time for questions.
All right.
Okay. So, and is Sean, has he been unmuted, or I just can't see, sorry.
I'm here.
Okay. So let me share my screen, if that's okay, or
Yes, that's fine.
let me see. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen?
No, not at this time. There, now it's coming up.
Okay. So just thank you all for having us. You guys can see my screen, yeah? Sorry, I lost one last time.
Yes.
Okay.
We're good.
My name is Alon Schwartz. I am the Chief Revenue Officer at PSI. I oversee all of our licensure programs. So all of our state regulatory programs that we have at PSI fall under me. And Sean Condor, my colleague here, he manages all of our barbering cosmetology contracts that we have at PSI. So quickly, what we'll do, I just did the introductions, just a quick overview of who PSI is, and then I'll go quickly through all of the services, so customer service, the test centers, remote proctoring, if that's something that you're interested in, and then we'll talk about the exams and sort of the national program that we have. And lastly, just a quick slide on security and reporting. So just you'll get a kind of quick overview of what we do and who we are. So we test about 4 million candidates a year. About 2.5 million of those candidates test remote proctored, a little over 1.5 test in test centers. And we work with 180 state agencies across 46 states. And then please ask me questions as I go. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of go through. We do have 2 contracts in the state of Hawaii. We've been working with the real estate branch for 17 years as their test developer and delivery of exams. And for the past 3 years, we work with the Hawaii Professional and Vocational Licensing Division. A lot of trades exams, we do delivery for them as well. So those are our 2 current clients within the state of Hawaii. These are the states that we currently work with. So the ones in red, sorry about the different colors, are the states that we currently administer exams for Barbering Cosmetology. So we have a hybrid. A few of the states we deliver the NIC exams for. In most of the states, though, we deliver our own exams, whether it be a state-specific exam or our current national program, which we'll talk about in a minute. Just in the past 12 months, just to give you an idea, for Barbering Cosmetology, we deliver about 270,000 exams. And we have exams in 6 different languages: English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Korean, Simplified Chinese, and Portuguese. And I understand for your program, you're looking for just theory, correct?
I'm sorry, we've got construction outside, so we're looking for just what?
Just the theory exam, correct?
Yes,
Just
we don't do
Yes.
practical here.
Okay. In terms of customer service, our call center, talks about our call center. Call center is open 7 days a week. We have bilingual CSRs in our call center. Our website, what we have is a mobile-friendly website. It's a new website that we launched a couple of years ago. Every program has its own dedicated page, so you don't have to kind of scroll through other programs to find the page. It is able to be had in different languages as well, the scheduling website. In terms of candidate scheduling, they can schedule up till 4 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time the day before an exam if there's a seat. All messaging to candidates is customized, so we'll work with you on what the messaging that goes out to candidates. But all of our messaging we email candidates confirmations, approvals, anything and everything, score reports if that's allowed on your end. And we also now communicate with candidates via text message as well. And then on the bottom right, you'll see the word custom a lot. We do a lot of customization for our clients. So we work with them in terms of, making sure that all of the documentation is exactly what they want it to be. So we kind of fit into your world. You don't have to fit into our world. So we want to make sure that it's dedicated to your program. So the handbook and everything associated is customized to you as well. Just to give you an idea of what the website could look like, this is just a sample. Again, it's a dedicated website for the program. We currently have 4 test centers in Hawaii. These are the ones that satisfy today the real estate and the vocational program. If we are fortunate enough to work with this program as well, what we always do with our new clients is work with them to talk through kind of where their candidate population is. And if there is a need to open up another location, we'll work together to try to figure that out as well. But these are our 4 today. All of them have recording capability. They're all ADA compliant. We have biometrics that we take photos of each candidate. And in addition, if your program allows, we have over 500 test centers within the US for candidates to go take a test if you allow them to test outside of the state of Hawaii. I'm sorry for not knowing. Currently, do you offer remote proctoring to your candidates?
No, this board does not offer remote proctoring.
Okay, is that something, because I have a little bit of info on that, is that something that you're interested in hearing about, or should I just skip over that part?
At this point, let's skip over it, in the interest of time, since it's not something we currently offer.
Okay, just to let you know, we have about 60 just of our of our licensure programs that have gone to a hybrid model where they still have the test centers, but they offer remote proctoring as an option as well. So down the road, if that's something you want to consider, we can turn that on if and when you ever did want, but we could start off just with test centers, no problem. So I'll skip through that part. From the exam development perspective, you know, kind of, I've worked with PSI I've worked at PSI for 15 years, and people kind of always ask me like, what differentiates PSI from all of the other companies? You know, obviously working here, I think we're the best, but I think really our secret sauce is our test development. The way that we develop our exams is truly second to none. The expertise, the process that we use, and for all of our clients, they are extremely big fans of our test development process. Our team is super professional. We have over 150 years of combined experience. They currently work on over 3,600 exams in total. Our team is led by Isabel Gontier, who's our Chief Assessment Officer, and Andrea Dominic runs our licensure test development team. Sean, do you maybe want to talk a little bit to this slide? Because they asked a little bit about what is different from our national cosmetology program versus NICs.
Right. Basically, your references are going to be similar. We use Pivot Point and Milady's as references. So you're going to see a lot of familiar things in the exams as far as referencing. The one thing that you won't see are what we call unnecessary subjects. And we've pulled, unless they're related to health and public safety, there's no chemistry, no human anatomy. Those types of things have been pulled out. It's strictly cosmetology, nails, aesthetics, barbering, and it's all about health and public safety. I know that you had some legislation about the compact go in that was killed in your house, but we are recommended by the compact because we are so targeted to the health and safety element. But we do provide valid and reliable means of identifying test takers. We write these at a minimal competency level. We looked real fiercely in the last publication at the fact that students now are running a little bit lower in competency. And so we did really look way into the means of that and trying to get the competency levels to where the student could understand the tests.
Just briefly, when you say competency, are you talking about reading comprehension?
Yes.
So they could understand the question that you were asking them and not be confused what you were asking them for?
That's correct. And we looked at each question and made sure that that competency level was compatible with a student who maybe had a little trouble with reading.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. In terms of how we deliver exams, this is part of something that's also unique to us compared to others, is we have a linear on the fly model of delivering exams. So from a security perspective, it's much more secure. So instead of having a couple of forms per exam title, what we do is we create unique forms per individual candidate. So we have an item bank of questions per exam title. And when you sit down and take the test, we generate a unique form. So if I'm sitting at seat 1 and Sean is sitting at seat 2 and we're both taking a cosmetology test, our forms will be completely different. So from an item exposure and security perspective, it's really second to none when you compare that versus just fixed form delivery. In terms of what we do for test development, we develop exams for 11 states. Most of those states today do use our national program. So California today uses PSI's national program, Colorado, Alabama, Maryland. Sean, I think I'm missing a couple.
Tennessee, Massachusetts.
And Michigan. So all of those states, previously we had we developed we had state-specific exams, but when they wanted to go to national, they adopted our national program. We do have content, and I'll show you the exam list in a second. I looked for all of the exams that you currently deliver. We recently completed our most recent job analysis for the national program. And as I mentioned earlier, we do item delivery in the exam delivery in the 6 languages here. From a job analysis perspective, we just completed it about 2 months ago. It was a really big project for us. We surveyed, we got responses from over 5,000 licensees, including some in Hawaii. And we had 100 subject matter experts helping us with this job analysis that was just completed. So we're going to be rolling out the new exams within the next few months to all of those states mentioned before. In terms of our national program, these are the exam titles that exist today. So we have the Master Barber. I know sometimes there's different terminology in each state. We have a barber styling or barber technician, the cosmetologist, obviously, hairstylist, hair design, esthetician, nail tech, electrologist, and instructor or educator. And all of these exam titles come in the English plus the 5 languages shown here. If you look at how those exams are made up, you could see here. So if I'm just looking just as example, let's use the cosmetology because I assume that's the highest volume. I know that is in most states. We have 100 items per exam. We also have 10 different pre-test items for a total of 110. You have 120 minutes, and it's a cut score of 70%. Those are the cut scores that we recommend. And I can share this all with you. I can send this all in an email in essence of time. The references, as Sean mentioned, we use the Milady references as well as Pivot Point. Sean, anything else you want to add on this?
No, we do include Tammy Taylor Nail Institute for the nail exams as well.
I was going to say, I haven't heard Tammy Taylor's Nail Institute in many years. Wow.
No, me either. Crazy. She's still around.
That's awesome.
And then in terms of security reporting, obviously security, when you're delivering exams to candidates, security is of the utmost importance. So from a security perspective, each of our test centers follow strict security guidelines. We actually do in-person audits and secret shops at all of our locations throughout the country. All exam sessions are recorded. And if there happens to be a security incident, we will let you know within 24 hours with a full report on what happened, as well as corresponding video. In addition to sort of the audits, what we do with our test centers, so we send in people to obviously kind of audit or sometimes secret shop, where we try to quote unquote break the rules and ensure that the proctors are doing their job and trying to catch what we're doing. In addition, we do have, since we have cameras at all of our locations, our security team will do their own audits through video, where they're log in and ensuring that everything, the proctors and the staff are doing what they should be doing. As I mentioned, in addition to sort of what happens at the test center, there's other ways to do security. As I mentioned, Formcast, where we're delivering those unique forms. That's something that is another level of security, where instead of just delivering a form, you have an item bank delivering those exams. We also, our test development team constantly monitors data, even after the fact of the exams. So if we see something that looks out of the ordinary, we will then take a look, analyze it, and then communicate with you as to what we're seeing and to see what the next steps should be done. And this is something that's very, very powerful from a security perspective, because obviously security doesn't just end when the person ends their exam. There's other things that we do after the exam as well. From a reporting perspective, we have a robust set of reports that we offer our clients. You'll have a client portal with 24/7 access to anyone on your staff that you'd like us to give it to. I don't know today how you get results. I don't know if you get it from a reporting engine, which you'll have, but if there's an electronic file that needs to be sent. We'll work with you to build that as well. If you determine eligibility for candidates to take the test, we'll work with you on that format as well. All pass-fail score reports we'll customize to what your needs. So for example, on a passing score report, if there needs to be any verbiage as far as kind of next steps for licensure, we'll put that on the passing score report. If on the fail score report, there needs to be any information on next steps, we'll work with you on that. And if there's any sort of commerce related reporting, we build those out as well. And if you look here, these are just some samples. These are just this is just I took from one of our clients today. These are all the different reports that you would have access to, plus probably another 20 more. So we'll work with you on your reporting needs to ensure that you can have all the data. How did I do on time?
You're doing great.
All right.
Can I ask a question about, I know we skipped over proctoring, but would proctoring be for like the kids who have ADHD or students who have ADHD that need help?
Like the remote proctoring?
Yeah, I guess my thought process is, do you guys have something for kids that qualify for?
Yeah, so for ADA, so we have we now call, it used to be called ADA, we now call it reasonable accommodations. So we have a whole group within our call center that handles all of those tasks. For most of our clients, we do the approvals. So the candidate, or in this case, like in your example, the student would send us documentation from whether it's a doctor or whoever it may be with the ask. So whether it might be extra time or a reader or whatever it may be, and then we then fulfill that.
So if they had their 504 plan from high school, they could submit that?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. And so
Mr. Schwartz, while you're speaking, could you unshare your screen so we can see who's speaking?
Sorry, apologies.
Thank you. No, that's helpful. Thank you.
Apologies.
Okay. And so that would have nothing to do with proctoring,
Right, the remote proctoring, and I know I'm just going to give you 10 seconds on it. That's basically the equivalent of you taking the exam from home.
Oh, okay.
So in lieu of you going to a test center, you could log into our software, take it from home. You'd have to download something, so we kind of lock in your computer, and you would be taking the same exam that you would be taking at the test center at home. And we're watching you through a camera.
Yeah, your program's on my computer.
Gotcha.
But Carrie, out of curiosity, has anybody ever come to the board with the question of, I have a 504 plan and I need extra time or stuff like that?
Yes, we have with Prometric, there's a process. The person can say, I need additional time. Very similar, they send their paperwork to the coordinator there, and they arrange for that to take place.
Right.
Okay. Oh, the outside of the state question.
Yep.
I think this goes to Carrie, guys, too. They offer that. Do we accept that as the Board of Cosmetology?
Well, I would have to review your statutes. I don't believe there's anything that says they have to come to Hawaii, other than that's the way it's always been done. And as you know, our rules are very old. So that would be a board decision if they wanted to allow out-of-state people to take the exam out of state. It would also be a board decision whether you allowed proctoring. There's some considerations that I would like the board to discuss if they're interested in that. Currently, our rules do not allow us to offer the exam in any language other than English, which I think is something we can address through our rules change that we're working on. But those are things that would require discussion amongst the board.
If that is allowed, if we're able to do the test in other languages, that was actually a question I was going to ask. I see here that you guys have these 6 different languages, but here in Hawaii, we have a lot of people from Polynesia. Hawaiian is actually, Olelo Hawaii is actually an official language here. So I think there might need to be more inclusive to offer this here. There would have to be an expansion of the test in a few other languages other than the ones that you guys have already done.
Yeah.
Just to be more inclusive for everyone here, right?
Yep.
Hawaii is a little bit different when it comes to that. So that was
Yeah, and
just my
our
thought
list
on that.
our list of kind of languages has grown through really sort of our clients and some of their needs. So we started off with English and then a couple of others, and then it's grown. So if there's other languages needed, that's something that we could easily do in conjunction with the client for sure.
So, if I remember from the presentation, currently approximately 12 states offer the PSI national exam.
No, today's 7 states offer the PSI national.
7, and then you have the
And then-
additional ones that you've developed.
Yeah,
state
so for example, in Texas, we do the Texas Barbering Cosmetology exams. It's their own state-specific exam. And in Indiana, but just recently, our 2 most recent clients, Colorado switched from state-specific to national, as well as Maryland within the past year.
California was on that list, right?
Correct. Correct. California uses our national program, yes.
So for other states for barbering, you know, there's certain things that are not allowed, so we wouldn't technically see them on the test. And now because this is a national test, is it more generalized when it comes to sanitation and rules and regulations when it comes to specific states?
We've centered all of the development on federal guidelines.
Okay.
So you see, yeah, OSHA guidelines. So you'll see just common things in there. Specifically, what do you mean, Serves?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead, Carrie.
No, so currently Hawaii doesn't test on our state regulations. So any questions on the NIC are general questions as well, probably based on the federal guidelines, not based on Hawaii specific. I'm sure there are things being tested on in terms of cosmetology and estheticians that are general knowledge, but we don't allow our licensees to do. I mean, we have a very limited scope of practice compared to some other states, but these are national exams and they would be tested on those national standards.
And one thing that we've
But what,
developed is we've developed exams without techniques. And so it's all based on health and safety. It's really an interesting way that we've done this. But yeah, we don't usually have that problem. And as far as state questions, if a state wants to add questions, that would be a separate exam. So we have a true national exam. So what you're doing in Hawaii would be exactly what they do in California, exactly what they do in Alabama, and so forth. So there wouldn't be any variation in the tests at all in those states.
Have you had any feedback from those states about your test?
They're excited about it, and they're really excited for the new release. So it's working very well for them.
Yeah.
And you guys have, the national one is how old?
We started it about, what, Sean, 4 years ago?
It was actually 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Wow, time flies. But our new, so yeah, which is why we're now in we usually do a new job analysis every 5 years. So we just completed that. So the new sort of versions of the exams that with our most recent job analysis, we'll be launching kind of between now and the end of the year at our different states. And then I'm happy if I'm able to, in addition to sharing this PowerPoint, I can email, I can email you our current list of the exams as well as the content outline of each, so you could see that in kind of one document, if that's acceptable.
Did you not send me that? Is that not, we have the,
I didn't know if who I
It
sent
was
it to
in
got it.
previous
In the-
agenda.
yeah, 2005 National Barbering
Yes.
Cosmetology Theory, 95 questions, 2 hours.
Yeah, I sent it to Dave and he must have forwarded to you, or I think, or yeah. So you have that
Yeah.
document. Okay.
Yeah, you got that one where our meeting was going to be last month. I didn't resend it because I was hoping you guys still had it. It was in the
Yeah, it's here.
OneDrive.
Okay.
So
Yeah, those are the content outlines, exactly.
Those are content outlines, and also at the very end are the resources.
Correct. The references, yep.
For those of you that have your packet, it's pages 25 through 27 are the resources for the different exams. There's some on pages 23 and 24 are some sample questions from each exam, or a sample question from each exam that were provided for us.
Alon, you gotta add Tammy Taylor to that list of people, because those of us who have been doing nails for a long time will appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, good point. It's not a, you're right. I'm gonna add that to that document.
So, Carrie, at this point, if we don't have any more questions, or does anybody have any more questions?
It doesn't appear that there's anyone with any questions at the moment.
So now do we discuss it between us? How does this go? I'm actually, can I say that I like what I see? Just because of the states that are on the national are states that we have many people coming from, like California, and those states triggered my ear.
So we don't need to move into executive session unless there's any specific questions for our legal counsel. Are there, so the reason I spoke to Chair Hall about this is my concern that we don't have any testing available for our neighbor islands. And it's been 2 years, which I felt was a fairly adequate amount of time to get some more testing sites. And we do have schools calling saying, why can't our people test on our island? If it was just a matter of changing test facilities, we would just, test administrators, we could do that. But the board has the authority to determine what exam is offered. And PSI, although they do still offer the NIC in some states, they're not looking to add states that they offer the NIC with. They prefer to stick with their own developed exam. So the question before the board is twofold, threefold. One, does the board feel we need to switch testing administrators so we can move forward on getting more test sites for our candidates to take the test? That's the first question. Two, is the board willing to change the exam that it requires folks to take to the PSI national exam in order to facilitate changing test administrators? And I guess three would be, does the board want to move forward with that quickly, or if they want more time to consider it?
Don't need more time.
Yeah, I don't need, I mean, the presentation was very thorough. I mean, there was nothing that I really disagreed with in it.
And the fact that there's
so
site on every island is huge.
Yeah,
Or
it's great.
main
I think
island.
we would see less people coming in with infractions with RICO if we had more testing facilities on other islands. Especially these unlicensed people that are practicing all around, right? You know, if this will help with that, we have more facilities for people to get to instead of having to catch a flight to Honolulu, you know.
The one thing we can do is reinforce it. If I could speak, in one state, we took all of the people who had taken the test and failed and hadn't come back in the last 3 years, and we emailed them, and we've had a huge response to that as well. So that's helped get people licensed.
Yeah, I'm all for making the process easier.
Mm-hmm.
And with PSI, the testing dates, like I remember when I got my real estate license, there were specific days you could take it, correct? So is it the same with the cosmetology or nail technician, or is it no matter what day you schedule, they can put it on that computer and it's your test?
Well, you just said the second one, the second
Will
part.
it inundate our people in our offices though that have to process all these tests now, right? I did have a question. Just give me 1 second to collect myself so I can ask it. That's okay. Oh, I know. Is this going to create an extra financial burden on the person taking the test? Or is there going to be increase in cost for testing?
So that I don't know the answer to that one yet, because I think we would need a little bit of data from the board in terms of like how many people are taking the test, so I can kind of give you guys an appropriate exam fee. I don't know any. I'd need a little more info before I can answer that. I apologize.
Okay. But in the reality of it, there would be a little bit of a bump increase in the testers. The tester would have to pay a
Boy,
little
do you know
extra
what the
fee.
current fee is by any chance?
I haven't tested that. Carrie, do you know? Is it one?
It looks like the current fee with Prometric is $90 per test. That's based on the candidate information bulletin I just pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'll say. Like, again, I'd need to see the volume. I can't imagine, like, if it did go up, like, it's not going to go up drastically. There's not going to be a drastic change. But I'd need to see a little bit on the volume before I can really answer that question.
Are we able to, because we say this in public, right? The examination testing, how many candidates were examined? Is that what you're asking per month?
If you can give me an idea of how many candidates either the past month or the past year.
So in May, we had 91 candidates examined. In April, we had 112. And then in March, we had 59. But that's also because we don't have test sites in other locations.
Right. So you're based on that, you're probably averaging somewhere, I mean, just quick math, like probably like 1,000 or 1,200 candidates a year. I don't know if that sounds high or low based on I'm just using those 3 months. If you're averaging, let's say 100 candidates a month, we're getting to 1,200. If it's, 80, we're getting to like 1,000 a year.
There's definitely an influx during certain parts of the year because of people getting out of school, and we don't have many schools here. So, at the end of the semester, or at the end of the year, you'll probably see,
It's a little bit, right. Yeah, we see that everywhere. I mean, it's something, I can use the unless you're able to get me like a full year's worth, I can use the number of like 1,000 as a starting point to kind of work off to come back to you guys with a like a proposed fee per test.
Carrie.
I think I have one more question. So we're saying that you can register for your test and you can take it. Is there going to be set dates for the test, or you can test at any time of the year?
Whenever that's, yeah, no, there's no like just, it's, our test centers are open, I mean, throughout the year, but you know, like for example, Honolulu is open more often than the other islands just because of the sheer volume, but they're open throughout the year. There's not like just one date.
So I think that's what my question was, with already the short staff in our office to process these tests that have been processed already and getting the process done with your licensing.
Excuse
Is
me,
there
we've been having technical difficulties on this time. When our screen went blank, we haven't heard a thing since then. So could Johnny, could you put up the technical difficulty screen while we figure out our sound so we can answer these questions? We haven't heard the last 5 minutes of discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, so just put that up for a minute while we fix our sound.
What do we want to talk about? Well, they're not. No, I'm kidding.
But is that gonna keep everybody on like the meeting?
Am I able to ask a couple of questions while we're waiting, or should I wait?
Well, we may not have the answers for you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're unmuted. I'm gonna start the video.
So, we have to do a restart on this side. You shouldn't see anything happen on your side, but it's gonna take just a minute for us to restart over here. Hang tight, we'll be with you shortly. You can mute.
I'm going to ask a question just out of curiosity, because you guys offer the NIC in other states. You guys actually Can you hear me now?
Now I can. Yeah, what were you saying?
So you guys give the test, the NIC test in other places. Would that make it higher? Like if, say they charge $90 right now, if we were to use you to do the NIC.
Hi everyone, please stay muted while we work out this technical difficulty.
We're green, I think.
Oh, we're green?
Mute yourselves. Um. Johnny? Can you mute?
Yes.
I think we can take the sign down.
Okay.
Okay, you can unmute board members. Hi, thank you for your patience. We're trying to unmute the board members and Mr. Condor and Mr. Schwartz. Okay. So if you are a board member or Mr. Condor, you can unmute yourself as well. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you for your patience. The last thing I could hear, we were discussing not proctoring, it was the discussion right after proctoring. Languages, I believe. What were you discussing when we were gone? Why don't we pick up there?
I think if I recall, the topic kind of right before where you couldn't hear, I think there's questions about like how often our test centers are open and if they're open throughout the year. I think, Ashley, I think you were asking something about if the staff can handle it. Was that kind of where we were at?
Yeah, with there not being like set test dates, right? There's going to be more people either passing, failing, testing. Is that something that's going to inundate our office staff that's already
No.
short staffed? Okay.
Based on, we have several boards that already use PSI services to administer their exams. And based off of the process that those boards used, I believe if this board determined to go with PSI services, it would actually save our staff time because current system is once a person is approved for exam, our staff has to pre-register them before they can schedule an exam. And the way the other boards work with PSI services is once we approve the person, they do their own registration and they get a letter says you're approved. They go in and they do their own registration. We don't have to do a pre-registration. So it would actually save staff time, not create more work.
And not prolong the period where you have to wait for your license approval from the board or
Correct.
licensing department. Okay.
For that,
Based on the
Okay.
other boards, when the licensing clerk hits the letter, this person is approved, move them to exam, it generates the letter. That letter that goes to the person via email gives them their password and ID that they need to schedule, and that's done. And that's a 24-hour turnaround. If Ashley, if you were approved today, you would be able to log on and schedule your exam tomorrow.
that's awesome.
And then once the testing is completed, is it an immediate release of your scores, or is there a period where we have to wait for testing results?
I know that the person taking the exam knows if they passed or failed at the end of the exam. They're given a preliminary you passed, preliminary you failed. PSI does a whatever quality check they do before they send those scores to us. But I believe we get scores at least every week, maybe more frequently. I'm not positive about that. Alon or Mr. Condor, do I have that correct?
Yeah, I think it's different for real estate and for the trades. For real estate, I believe we do not send electronic results. They use our portal and candidates send in reports, but for the trades that we do send electronic results.
Okay.
And I don't know, it might be daily. I don't know if most of our programs, I'll say this, we do daily for the previous day's testers, but that'll just be determined by kind of your needs. So if you want them daily, we do it daily. If you want it weekly, we send them weekly.
So it's a pretty quick turnaround. That's something that the exam branch works with the test administrator with. This side of the table really doesn't know the ins and outs of that. But it is a quick turnaround.
Yes.
And I think we were discussing about Elon needs the information regarding to determine the cost of the exam.
The number of
The
people
number
who
of
take
people
the
taking the
test
exam.
in a year.
That is something that exam branch would have for them. I believe that the cost of the exam is in chapter 52 of HRS. But the number of people that take the exam in a year, that's something that exam branch can get to him.
So I had a question while you guys were working on it, was that they give the NIC test. PSI does give the NIC test for some states. And I was just curious if the NIC right now, let's just say the student pays $90 to take the test. If we were to use PSI to give the NIC, would the cost go up?
So I'll
Like-
answer that. I'll answer that from the PSI perspective. So yeah, we still have a few states that we deliver the NIC exams for, but we are no longer looking to add programs with the NIC. So it would be, if you were gonna use us as the vendor, you would be using our exams.
Okay.
Again, I believe that the cost of the exam to the candidate is already set in statute, along with application fees and licensing fees. I would have to go back and pull chapter 52, chapter 53, whichever one it is, to determine that, but I believe it's already set. For the candidate, it wouldn't change, I don't believe, at least until there's a statute change.
Do you know what that fee is that's in the statute? Because I know what Prometric charges, I just don't know if that's equal to what's in the statute.
I think I might have that information. If it is in the statute, I don't have that page. I'm sure that David and exam branch would be able to provide that information for us.
Okay, that'd be great.
Are there other questions for PSI while we have them?
I'm good.
I'm good too.
I'm good.
I have no further questions.
Okay, if there's going to be further discussion on this item, we'll probably move it to the next agenda, to the next meeting for discussion. If you don't feel like you have any more questions, you could go ahead and make a decision today. It's a pretty big decision. So if you feel really firmly and you're ready to make a decision, we can do that. If not, we can put it on the August agenda. Give yourselves a chance to think it over, see if you have more questions that you want answered or you want more information. Let me know how you want to move forward.
Someone's raising their hand.
We have Chair, we have a member of the public that has raised their hand. Would you like us to let them in so they can ask their question?
Yes, please.
Hello. I have a question about the virtual testing. Would the virtual testing cost the same amount as the in-person testing?
So the cost of the exam remains the same regardless of the delivery, but the board hasn't decided if it will allow proctoring at this point.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to testify, or are there any other questions? Board members, do you want to continue this discussion to at the August meeting, or do you want to make some decisions today? Because we have a really full agenda.
I don't know, I wonder, I'm okay with voting on it today, but Carrie, for you guys, it would make it easier, correct? And the
Staff
test,
wise, you mean administrative wise?
administrative wise, because that's our goal, is that these people wanting to get their license can get it faster and get
More
it and start
efficient and
working
effective,
already.
yeah.
And yeah, because right now the one we're at doesn't do that.
Yeah, so other than the time it would take to make the change, it would not add any additional work to staff and would actually remove a step that the licensing branch has to take right now to get people to the place where they can schedule exam.
Is there anything we're losing by not doing the NIC? Is there any, I mean, like, was there a benefit to us starting with the NIC to begin with? When they changed over, because I wasn't here for that.
I was not here for that either. I don't know if Mr. Basta or Leslie was here when they had these discussions. I know that some of the
No, it's
concern
not.
was moving into the compact if the board decided to move to the compact. Having read the compact language now, the compact is not, it does not matter what our licensing requirements are, because those won't change if we join the compact. We get to keep whatever our licensing requirements are.
Okay. So we could vote, if I motion to vote for changing over to PSI. Do I need a second?
You would need a second.
I motion to go with PSI.
I second.
And then we vote. All in favor of going with PSI? Yes.
Yes, Michael Basta, yes.
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 Okay.
Okay. Thank you, board. I do have a follow-up question. It's going to take some time to make that change, because we have to notify our current administrator. We have to make sure our system's ready to go, et cetera. There'll be a little bit of time before this happens. But currently we require that folks take the NIC. We've been requiring that since 2020, so about 5 years. When we switch to the PSI exam, when that switch happens, will we still accept the NIC from other candidates that have tested NIC, or would we require that those people take the PSI national exam, which is what we do with other states now? For example, if I was licensed in Tennessee or wherever, and I took the Tennessee State Developed Exam or some other exam, and I wanted to come to Hawaii, I would be required to take the NIC and pass. So when we move to PSI, does everybody have to take the PSI, or will we allow people that have taken the NIC to transfer those scores?
I mean, the NIC is what's valid, right? Currently.
Mm-hmm. And we're still going to require people to take it until we make the switch.
Yeah.
So this
I
is
see.
something we have to make a decision on so that when the switch happens, we're not making people take the PSI if we don't want them to have to take the PSI if they've already passed the NIC. But if we want everyone to take the same exam, I need to know that too. Yeah. So.
I mean, the NIC is recognized in 40, how many, 38 states? 38 other states currently right now? Or how many states is the PSI in currently? 8, you said?
No, the national one is 7.
Yeah, the national one is 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, the NIC is in, that I don't know how many states. Sean, do you know how many states they've delivered the NIC test in?
It's about 30 some. I don't know what the current one is.
Yeah.
So I mean, technically it's recognized everywhere, even here currently, right?
Currently, yes.
38.
There should maybe be a grace period
We could do that. We could discuss
when
this.
it
this-
becomes implemented, there should be a grace period of,
NIC approved.
yes.
They'll come in.
And after a certain date, we will stop accepting NIC or, only PSI moving forward.
Okay, so I would recommend putting that question on the next agenda about the waiting period, et cetera, et cetera. Would the
Okay.
board be able to that?
Yes.
Okay, so because we do have a very long agenda and we had a little break with the technical difficulties, so thank you. Mr. Schwartz, Mr. Condor, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate that. The board did vote that they're going to be moving towards using PSI services to administer our exam. I'm sure you and I and David will have lots of conversations. Thank you so much for your time today.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. And yeah, looking forward to the follow-up. Thank you all for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
You got it. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Okay. Now, we're good with that section. I can go on to applications.
We're ready for applications. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 5, which is applications?
Thank you, Chair. We have a raised hand from Michael.
You can let him in.
You guys can hear me.
Yes. Yes.
I just
Before you start, Mr. Vasquez, your application is on the agenda, and we're happy to speak to you, but this is public session. If you have questions that you would like to remain confidential, we could bring you in when we move into executive session. Is this a question you're comfortable being recorded? Because we are recording this portion of the meeting.
yeah, I to put a voice to the correspondence that I've been doing within the board members,
Uh-huh.
and I have nothing really to hide. I just kind of wanted to just a couple of minutes of your guys' time.
Okay, if just so long as, I just wanted to make you aware that this is public session, and if you'd rather wait until it was just the board members, we could call you in at that time. So it's up to you.
Okay, yeah, you know what? I'll wait because it's just for the board members.
Okay, so when we go into executive session, when we come to your application, we'll call you in at that time, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have a raised hand from Michelle.
Okay.
Okay, you can let her in.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Perry. I was wondering if I could kindly request to be added to the list for apprentice application review. All of my paperwork was submitted through the PVL portal.
So we are required to have all agenda items published for public 6 days before the meeting.
Okay.
So we are unable to add an application at this time. The board does not have to review your application unless there is a concern from the licensing branch. So I don't know where in the process your application is, but at this time, we won't be able to discuss it because we don't have a copy with us. And it wasn't
Okay.
published on the agenda.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I will, when I get through with this meeting, I'll look that up and give you a call back and let you know where your application is and what the status is, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We have a raised hand from Trav.
Okay,
Hi, my name is Travis Bodie. I was wondering, is the application to become a board member? Is that what you guys are talking about?
No, we are talking about people that are applying for licensure, their applications.
Oh, okay. Is there any vacancies on the board?
yes, there's 2 vacancies for public and 1 for a barber.
Okay, I'm gonna apply for a barber.
Do it, boy. We need more.
Okay, there's a
Thank you.
website with the application. It's Hawaii Boards and Commissions.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We don't have any more raised hands.
Okay, Chair.
Okie dokie. Now, wait. May I have a motion, or can I motion to enter into executive session pursuant of
Sure.
Hawaii Revised Statutes 92-5A1 and 92-5A4 to consider and evaluate personal information relating to individuals applying for personal and vocational license cited in section 26-9 or both, and to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. Can I get a second?
Second.
Oh, Michael. And then can we vote? I'll just move into executive session.
I
Les, you're muted.
Aye.
Okay, let's move into executive session.
Thank you.
Hi, is there any Kelly Akoba in the audience?
Hey, Chair.
Okay,
Here.
less.
Yes.
It's your turn.
Oh, okay. Okay. The board approves. The board moves that, well, I'm sorry, I move that the board approve Kelly Acoba the apprenticeship for an equal amount of hours across subject categories. For Michael Vasquez, a conditional barber license. The board says that Keolani must have 2 separate licenses. The board approves Pacific Barbershop for barber shop license. The board approved the Beauty Back Bar Academy for beauty school license. And the board approves the ratification list.
I second the motion. Can we, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You're on mute,
Ashley and
Ashley.
Michael, could you unmute for your vote, please?
I'm
Aye.
sorry, aye.
Okay, now we move on to old business. Honolulu Community College request for work study co-op education program for cosmetology students. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on this agenda 6A?
Thank you, Chair. We have a raised hand from Kevin.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Murata. Did you have something you would like to say or share?
Yes, hi. My name is Kevin Murata. I am here for Miss Jess Aki. I know she's come onto the meetings in the last couple meetings, and I'm here also for her and Honolulu Community College. I'm not sure. She's actually on a trip right now, so she asked me to kind of sit in for her today. But I wasn't sure if you guys had received an email from her somewhere in the beginning of March with some of the corrections or questions that you guys had posed to the co-op program that we are looking to do at our school.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So, we have the original packet
Mhm.
that was submitted to the board. Following the board's last meeting, our DAG, Kim, asked for some more documentation because we were concerned that the documentation submitted indicated that the students would be assisting in removing hair coloring, bleaching, assisting in removing permanent waving, performing shampooing and scalp treatments, hairstyling, and assisting with manicures and pedicures on the evaluation forms. And so around March 24th, we received 3 updated forms.
Okay.
One was the supervisor's evaluation, one was the student's self-evaluation, and the other was the student timesheet.
Okay.
Those were the 3 that we received that appears to remove those to changing from assisting to set up station, hand product to style for application, monitor time, check on client, clean up station, rather than assist and remove.
Correct.
Okay. So as you recall, board, the idea was to allow the senior students that were approved for this to go into shops to observe but anything they did would not be working on clients.
What I remember is they were to be working the retail section.
That's, yes, and so the 3 forms that I mentioned actually had the students discuss assisting and removing these certain things, the coloring, the permanent waving, the treatments, etc. So we asked about that, and in response, we got the updated evaluation forms. So if you could look at those sheets and see if you believe that they've removed the concerns regarding working on clients. Because that would definitely put them into the realm of requiring an apprenticeship in the shop, so. Is it just the three that you want? Or was it something else? It's the 11.
So student learning outcomes during this week period. As part of a team, the student will perform all duties required, cooperative education work site, demonstrating positive work habits using appropriate procedures, tools, and equipments consisting with all standards of OSHA regulations. Of course, OSHA would mean that they're doing services to me. In my thought, like when I read that, does the tools and equipment mean cash register and bagging? I don't know what because that's what
We could
is that-
also be more specific in that and say that anything that like if they're cleaning up
okay.
because that's using chemicals that OSHA also oversees. We could kind of go more into detail in that and saying that that part would be more of the cleaning up. If the stylist needs, their shampoo bowl washed or needs the hair to be swept up, or things need to be that are disposable needs to be thrown away. I mean, we could go
From what
for
I
that.
remember, what you guys had said was, I'm all for this, trust me. I love this program. I think it's a great program, but what you folks explained to us that it was they were gonna learn management skills
Correct.
and they were gonna learn retail sales because you're not allowed to sell except for at the bookstore.
Correct.
So this to me, if even with the, okay, so March 24th, that student timesheet. Is that something I'm supposed to be looking at too? Because that has assist with hair coloring, bleaching, processing, and stylists for application. So that needs, and then it continues on to permanent waving, manicures, personal grooming. That shouldn't be there if that's the case.
I unfortunately don't have if there was any update to the timesheet, I do not have that. But you are correct. The timesheet that I do have in front of me does have like the three, right? The first three assist with hair
Yes.
coloring, assist with yes. So
Well, personal
I'm not
grooming, that's just showing up looking good, right?
correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, all that was given to me was an email that was sent from, see, what's happening is we are actually the in-between people. We're actually dealing with someone that is the coordinator for the co-op program. So a lot of things that are coming from us and you guys has to be filtered through them and then come back to us and then we give it back to you. So I'm not quite sure what Jess Aki, if that was the last thing she sent to you, then what I can do is I can go back to Christy Teruya, who is the co-op coordinator, and ask her if she had updated the timesheets, the student evals, the eval for performance, student performance, and the co-op agreement. Like I said, the ones that I personally have right now in front of me looks like it's not the updated ones. So I mean, I can check on that.
Well, we would need it changed if that's the case.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I'm just stepping in for Jess
Yeah.
because she's not here. She's on a trip right now. So this is all she had given to me.
Okay,
So if
so-
that's correct.
So, I apologize for cutting in.
No, you're fine.
So the original student timesheets and the other documents we said, the first task, I'm looking at the student timesheet. We're going to use that as my the one to cover all of them. Assist and remove hair coloring bleaching. It's stopped there. On the new student timesheet and the other forms, it says assist with hair coloring bleaching process. And then it has in parens, setup station, hand product to stylist for application, monitor time, check on client, cleanup station.
Okay, correct. So I think that is the most updated one because I have the corrections in an email that was between Jess and Christy, the co-op coordinator. So yes, that is the last one you read is the updated one with the
Okay, so-
parentheses. Yeah.
Thank you. So board members would setting up the station, handing product to the stylist for application, monitoring time, checking on the client and cleaning up the station. Is that something that someone could do without performing?
They can. My concern is when you put, so I'm an owner. I read it the way an owner would.
Right.
I read it as you're gonna assist with my hair coloring and bleaching. That's what's gonna happen in the real world.
Correct. So the verbiage needs to change then.
Yes, where it
Okay.
says when assisting or not even assisting, it's setting up station, hand products to stylists. That's their tasks. Like those are the things that they would be doing their hours on paper, not because they're gonna assist all in the shop. But these are the things they can do. But once you put assist with manicures and pedicures, you're gonna have people reading into it and just telling them, okay, I need you to go cut the nails. I need you to go, buff the bottom of the feet. So
It's a gray area.
yes. And like I said, I read it as an owner. I wouldn't have thought, I would have read it as, okay, I need you to set up this station and do this, but you can also assist me with the coloring.
Okay. So if we change the verbiage to not say assist with that particular service, but say something like specifically only set up station, sanitize tools and equipment, and whatnot, including cleanup station and restock supplies, will that be okay?
It would be better. I mean, I'm saying it would be more specific, but I don't know if it would be better. I don't.
So one thought would be take out the assist with da 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 da. Leave
Correct.
just the part in the parens. Would that make it clearer?
I'm a visual reader, so I gotta read
Yeah,
it.
so for example, assist with hair coloring, bleaching process, parens, setup station, hand product to stylist, monitor time, blah, blah, blah. Have it read instead, setup station, select and organize perm rods, hand product or tools for wrapping, monitor time, check on client, clean up station.
Yeah, it would just be a general list of what they can do. I think that would be clearer for people because that's what they're allowed to do.
Correct. Okay. All right.
And then, along with those updates, our DAG noticed that while the student timesheet was updated, the supervisor's evaluation of student performance was updated, and the student self-evaluation of performance was updated, the cooperative education agreement itself was not updated.
Okay. The co-op agreement, right?
Yeah,
All right.
the 93B, the COSM 93B, cooperative education agreement, we never got an update for that one. So, all those forms need to be updated to make it clearer that the person can't assist with with the actual service.
Okay.
They're
All right,
only
yeah.
helping with the prep, and the cleanup.
No direct contact.
No direct client contact.
Contact. Okay.
We could say limited to.
Limited to might be a good way to put it. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, it's something that without seeing, we can't really make a determination on, right?
Correct. Okay.
I do have a suggestion though, because the whole point is for them to get administration or, management and reception skills. Instead of saying observe and demonstrate understanding of reception duty, it should say observe and assist in, that's where assist should be. And understanding the reception duties, and then observe and assist with customer service. That's
Okay.
where, those are the key points of learning what you guys are wanting them to learn.
Correct. All right. Okay, so what I will do is I will contact our co-op coordinator and see if she can send me all of the updates, the most current updates, because like I said, I don't have all the current updates. That was done to all 4 documentations, especially the co-op agreement for the student. And then what I'll do is I will go from there and I will, with Jess Aki, resubmit all 4 documents so that you guys can take a look at it again.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All righty.
And if you can always call the board.
Okay.
If you would like clarification. Also, this Zoom, well, this is executive session, so we're back in public.
No, we're back in
The
regular.
the Zoom meeting will be uploaded to the board's website. If you want to scroll through to get to this conversation, you can. And once the draft minutes are prepared, they will be uploaded as well that you can refer to.
All right, that sounds good. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we will get on that right away.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Chair, we don't have any more raised hands.
Okay, so on to 6B, beauty barbershops operator in charge. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda 6B?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Okie dokie, so
Thanks. So I brought this to the board mainly so that we can have a determination in the minutes, so that when I get pushback from folks, I can say, no, the board's discussed this and this is the board's decision. The rules and statutes allow barbers to work in beauty shops and hairstylists to work in barber shops. And 439A10 says that you have to have an operator in charge for the services. A lot of times beauty shops, hairdressers want to offer shaving services in their shop, but don't put a barber operator in charge. They don't inform the board that this is the barber in charge of shaving in my shop. They just hire a barber and start offering shaves. That isn't how I read 10. To me, it sounds like there needs to be a barber in charge if shaving is going to be offered in a shop, and that barber, that operator in charge needs to be registered with the board, so that we know who that person is. But I've had some feedback I've hired a barber. They can offer shaving. But the shop doesn't have a barber operator in charge. So I'm putting it to the board so there can be a record.
so when they call in, could your response be, well, your barber that you hired can be your operator in charge?
Yes, I say that, but they don't.
They don't understand why. It doesn't cost them anything, does it?
No. It's just that a lot of shops will just hire a barber.
Yeah.
And then when someone says, but you don't have a barber, you don't have an operator in charge of barbering in your shop, they're like, well, I have a barber. So I just want something on the record so that when this comes up, I can say, well, the board has discussed this. And this is how this works. If you're gonna offer barbering services in your hair salon or your cosmetology shop, you need to have a barber operator in charge.
Okay.
It already, I mean, it's already like that for the barbering application. We have to put our license down to verify that we're going to be providing these services already.
Right.
So it should be across the board, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. It's just that sometimes when people call in or there's a question and I say that, they're like, well, I don't read it that way. So if I could say, well, here's what the board decided, here's how the board does it, that has a little more weight with people than just, an administrator telling them.
So a beauty shop with a cosmetologist, as the cosmetologist in charge, can cover cosmetology, nails, and aesthetics, and hairdressers.
Right.
If there is a barber, there needs to be a barber in charge. Because a cosmetologist does not have the capability to shave. And right, that is the main difference.
Right.
So is that putting it in the books? Do we have to vote on it?
I can put that in the minutes, yes, and then I can say this is what the board decided.
Does everyone agree with that?
Yes. I agree with that.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay. It's in the minutes.
Your opinion holds great weight, Michael. Being a hairdresser. Could we please put that in the form of a motion to make it official?
Okay, so I motion that according to, okay, wait, I want to say this correctly. 439A-10.
Yes.
That the if a shop license has a cosmetologist in charge, it will cover cosmetology, nails, aesthetics, and hairdressing. But should there be a barber in the shop, they need a barber in charge. Do I have
They offer barbering services. They need a
or in
barber.
services? Wait, it would be a barber in services, not barber in charge, or?
Well, no, if they're offering barbering services, they need a barber.
Oh, got it, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, everyone in favor? Aye.
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 Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, now, what am I? Can we move on?
Yep.
To scope of practice, section 7. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony for agenda item 7, which is an email from Xavier Lasconia?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
So I provided Mr. Lasconia's email to the board. Go to the second paragraph. I am wondering if it is permissible for me, a nail student, to take model clients out of a booth rental while I am completing my studies. I would not be charging for these services, and I understand it would be against state laws for the business side.
He would need to apply in my knowledge of our rules. He would need to, if he was going to be working out of a booth rental style salon, he would need to personally get a salon license anyways. And in order to get a salon license, you have to have your own you have to have. I don't know.
Somebody needs to have a shop license.
Yeah, you have to have a shop license.
He can't
but-
work in the shop because he's not licensed. He's a
Yeah,
student,
He's
not
still
a-
in school.
but he's opening, if you're a booth renter, you become the salon owner of your little section.
Mm,
And so you as the salon owner has to have somebody who is licensed, and which it would be you. So that is a no.
No.
Yeah, no. He's not even finished with school, right?
right.
Shows here that he's still completing his studies, so he doesn't even have the ability to get an apprentice license outside of that. I mean, because that would be the next step, would be an apprentice license so that he could do these services in another location other than his school.
Well, his next step as a student would be to graduate and then
And
apply for
test.
licensure where he could get a temporary permit while he took the exam.
Do we know how much longer he still has in school?
No, he hasn't shared that
Okay.
information with us.
I
Yes.
think that would be a determination too. Like, did he just start? Is he a month in? Has he only done 50 hours? Or is he at the tail end of that?
Is he at the tail end of 350? Like,
Yeah.
but even at that, you don't he would have to apply for a shop license to work in the booth rental salon. And so he'd have to come through approval through us, and then I don't know what we would say at that point. But it's a no. To me, you cannot
Yeah.
work even if you're not charging, if you're not an apprentice or, a student.
So the booth rental negates it. He can't.
Yes.
He could, like, if I was a student and my sister or my neighbor wanted their nails done, I could do it. No
Yeah,
charge.
there's little girls who are doing their friends' nails and not charging.
Yeah.
That's different. You're not making money off of it.
Right.
But you're in a working salon. No, you can't do that.
Okay, so the answer to that is no.
Nope.
Correct.
I would say no on this, yes, for sure.
All right.
Do I have to vote? Do we have to
Yeah,
motion?
if you do a motion for me so that's it's
Okay.
official and in the record, yeah.
I motion to deny Xavier from working in a booth rental without his license for doing services for free.
I second Michael Basta Jr.
All in favor? Aye.
I
Okay, moving on to section B. Is the use of Geno X Elite System 6-watt, which includes a microdermabrasion massager applicator and an optional RF applicator within the scope of practice of board licensees. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 7B?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Thank you. So, the board previously, several years ago, said they weren't going to make determinations regarding specific machines or specific devices.
Sorry, Chair, we have a raised hand from Laurie.
Okay. Laurie can come in.
Hi, thank you for having me. I actually am from Eloquent Life Sciences, and I represent the actual manufacturer of the company that has this device. And the reason why I wanted to be here today, while you guys, look at it and evaluate it, is because it's a first of its kind. So although every state may or may not choose to allow certain energy-based devices being utilized by estheticians or non-medical professionals, this particular device is the first of its kind that's actually FDA cleared, federal label on label for estheticians and cosmeticians only. So it's for the practice of practice by qualified estheticians and cosmeticians in aesthetics or cosmetology clinics without the oversight of any medical professional required by the FDA. So it's very unique. So we wanted to be able to, and we're really kind of reaching out to every state to just make them aware of this, because as estheticians end up approaching the board, it's just such a unique device. It's not a radio frequency device that is on label for RX only or on label for medical professionals. This is the first of its kind that's a non-medical professional device, but for professional use by estheticians and cosmeticians. So it's very unique. And every state has different language. In some language, it can incorporate this type of device. In some states it can't. It's really up to the board to make that determination based on their current regulations. And so I just wanted to be able to be here to answer any questions and provide additional information. And I know every state doesn't approve or not approve a device, but you do regulate the practice. And so that's where there's confusion with current estheticians, just state per state.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your input, and stick around for the conversation. Again, I know we don't regulate machines, but we do regulate, or we don't make decisions about devices, but I brought this one in because it is a radio frequency, which the board has previously said is outside the scope of our practice. Its regulation name is electrosurgical device for over-the-counter aesthetic use. I didn't feel like just saying, no, it's radio frequency, no, straight up. I thought the board should look at the information regarding it based on their previous decisions. I do have some minutes from those previous decisions. For you to review.
I do have a question. I can probably Google it, but you said FDA cleared. What does that compare to approved? What's the difference?
Well, approved FDA cleared is for class 2 devices and below. Only class 3 devices go through FDA approval. So those are all RX devices, none over the counter, none that would be for use by estheticians. And technically this device is cleared as OTC, which is over the counter, but in this particular instance, the FDA is clearing our device on label for estheticians using the OTC code. The rest of the devices under the OTC code, which is PAY, are actually OTC for laypersons. Individuals can buy those and use them on themselves. In our case, our device is specifically for use in an esthetician clinic or a cosmetology clinic and used on others by that esthetician or cosmetician. Although
so that's more of a marketing thing for you folks more than it is a technical.
Well, it's actually technical for us as well because it's on label for that federally. So we don't sell to laypersons. It can't be sold to laypersons because we did choose to go for this path, but first of its kind. So it was a process with the FDA.
So shouldn't it be a class 1 then if it's?
No, so a class 1 device is based on classification for the device itself. So there are class 1 devices that don't require any oversight from the FDA or any submission to the FDA for clearance. This is still a class 2 medical device, but not RX, not for medical professionals. It's on label for non-medical professionals.
Is there a class 3 then? Like that's what I'm saying.
Class 3. So class 3 is what requires a PMA. That's the highest classification, but there are no class 3 devices that would ever be on label for esthetician use or for OTC use. Yeah.
Okay, so class 2 still qualifies as over the counter.
Yes. This particular class 2, it's called it's PAY code, and this particular class 2 devices for OTC. And there's many others too. LEDs are all class 2. EMS, you know, they're all class 2, New Face, they're all class 2 OTC. So we're the first of its kind RF. That's OTC. You know, that's for esthetician uses versus layperson.
Okay,
But
so
many will follow because now our device is a predicate. So other companies can use our device as a predicate to go through clearance, and they are actively doing that. So so they will follow. So you'll hear from more people, not just from me.
we don't regulate this though, right, Carrie?
Well, it's not that you don't regulate it. The board has previously determined that they don't want to weigh in on devices. They don't want to spend their time, yes, this device is okay, this device is not okay. The reason I brought this one to you was because it's radio frequency, and that the board has said previously that we're not allowed to use certain radio frequencies. And so if I wanted to respond, you know, we're not going to say yes or no to your device, but if there was concerns about the radio frequency, I wanted to be able to provide that information.
Lori,
Yeah,
when
from
you,
the,
oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
go on. I was gonna say from the perspective of the estheticians that we work with, although it might not be specifically called out within their scope of practice, if it's already been documented as being outside of their scope of practice, then that's where the concern comes in, and it's because it's radio frequency. So in many cases, people will see radio frequency devices as mainly being RX because they have been. They've always been RX devices only to be utilized by a medical professional or under an oversight of a medical professional. So this device is different. One of the differences is really low wattage. And in order to go through that process for OTC, and that includes, you know, LEDs and other devices as well, and those that are for laypersons, is they typically have to go under a process when they go through the original, you know, the initial clearance process, is there's special controls around these devices. And in this particular case, our special controls specifically document the device as being non-invasive. It's actually documented within our intended use as well. That's required by the FDA. And the FDA ensures that these special controls, that we have to meet these special controls to be considered non-invasive. And that includes the technology of the device, the low wattage, which is 6 watts, temperature limits, automatic temperature shutoff, treatment shutoff, labeling requirements that it specifically dictates the non-invasive treatment, labeling requirements, device operation has to go through validation. So we had to do human factors usability testing. We have to go through all the typical things you would do with an electromechanical device that's still regulated as a medical device, but not with medical claims. FDA chooses to regulate devices that other countries don't, even if they don't have, even if we don't have medical claims. And that includes having biocompatibility testing done, all electrical safety EMC requirements. So fully a device that has these requirements in order to go through this process and get the 510(k) clearance as non-invasive on label for estheticians, but being the first of its kind, we're finding that almost every state doesn't really have any language within their scope. It kind of falls in this gray area, and it puts the estheticians in a precarious situation because it's very confusing. Can they just go and buy the device? What happens if they do? We provide, you know, information for their packet so that if, you know, like everyone does for any of the devices they may have in, you know, in their clinic, or even if it's a medical clinic, You know, we provide all the information they need for their book, the 510K clearance, the detail of it, the labeling, they have the user manual. So we provide all that, but it's very confusing for them because they just don't understand whether they can or not be allowed to use it within the state. And
So-
it's every state,
So,
it's not just
yeah,
one
so
state.
that's what we're here to decide.
Yeah.
That the board is going to discuss. That's what they
Okay.
need to determine if the radio frequency is a concern or if it's not a concern at this point, that's what they need to discuss. You're muted right now.
Does anyone else have thoughts or questions? I know that the previous board members had, one of them was very adamant about aesthetics and medical aesthetic work. I'm not as knowledgeable in this field. I know aesthetics but radio frequency is not in my scope at the moment. So I don't know what to ask or what.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I would need more information. Or at least have a better understanding of it.
I did provide a non-invasive statement. I provided what we provide to the estheticians when I sent out information to the board and requested to be be on the next board meeting. So you should have that information. If not, I can just resend it. And it includes a 510K clearance letter as well.
Okay, so again, we have the information, it's the board has previously stated unequivocally that radio frequencies are outside the scope. And so they're trying to see how the radio frequency of this is different than what the board's previous determinations are. So it might be that we need to move this to the next the August agenda so that we have time to review this closer. And perhaps reach out to a board member that is an esthetician that would be knowledgeable.
Is there training that comes along when you decide that you want to purchase this for the person buying it, for the licensed cosmetologist or esthetician?
I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear.
Do you guys have a training program that comes along when you purchase this equipment?
Actually, it's not required by the FDA because of our human factors study. So we were asked by the FDA to do the human factors study so that they can self-train. So as part of the requirement, they have to be able to self-train. So they don't require any training whatsoever. And the radio frequency has no settings for them. The only setting is time. Its maximum time is 20 minutes. So there's no settings that they have to select. It's just on or off. So they're not doing the intensity is just the same and stable as what's approved, which is a 6-watt output. And then they can set the time with the 20 minutes being the maximum. And that's the only thing that they can set.
And how often does someone come in for a treatment like this? What is the typical turnaround for, like, I would go back for another treatment?
Well, it's actually a facial device that has like a cleansing microdermabrasion applicator, but it actually uses a cosmetic for the cleansing. So it's not a physical exfoliator. And then it has a massager. So they usually do it as part of the full facial. And so it really, if people want to do it, they can do it as early as like once a week, but many do it once a month, just like what they would do for a normal facial. And this is part of the facial step. And actually, the RF is the first part of the facial. And then they would move to exfoliation and then massage.
Okay, thank you.
Perhaps we should hold off on a determination, or we can reach out to the former board member. It's 6 watts. You know, what's when they said radio frequency, what were they thinking of that was beyond the scope? Is there a cutoff to that? We don't know what their thinking was because we don't have an esthetician on the board right now.
Okay. And professional devices are all 50 to 60 watts.
I was just reading that.
Yeah, all professional devices are 50 to 60 watts, which the company that I work with and I'm representing, they have professional devices as well. So and those are in medical professional environments.
Okay, so that's medical professional.
Yeah.
So that's why this one is considered, quote, over the counter.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah, I still need to check with an esthetician who's in this field. But I am reading up on it already.
Very good.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we're going to defer this and put it on our August agenda after some more research.
Yes. So can I motion? I motion to defer this to our next meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 There's a hand raised.
So we will defer this one. So on to the next one. Okay, let's see if I can say it right. Is there anyone who'd like to provide testimony for agenda 7C, which is are vajacials within the scope of practice of board licensees?
Thank you, Chair. We have a raised hand from Kevin.
Okie dokie. Let's let Kevin in.
Hello. I'm so sorry. Actually, I wanted to say something about the previous
Oh, Kevin Murata. Okay.
yeah, I wanted to, sorry, I'm not about the vajacials. I'm not very I know about that, but I kind of wanted to say something about the device that you guys were talking about earlier. Or ask a question, actually.
Okay.
I mean, I know through the discussion it might have been said, but what is the purpose of that device during the facial service?
So it's the same purpose for RF in general. Is it actually is treating, the actual indication is to treat just mild to moderate wrinkles. So it improves wrinkles, and it's facial wrinkles, just mild to moderate. And it's for skin types 1 through 4.
Okay.
And that's it, no other indications for that.
So are there specific products that are used with it or suggested to be used with it, or is it just that alone?
There's a gel that goes with it it's a conductive gel. So the device is used with a conductive gel that's very small amount, like pea-sized gel, that is used, and that's the only thing used with that device. However, for the exfoliation, that has a cosmetic that works with the applicator, and it has a gel that goes on the face to a different gel. And then it works with an exfoliation pod, which is again is a cosmetic, and then afterwards a serum's applied.
Okay.
And you might have heard of this because it's a Janeo, but I don't know if you heard glow to facial. That's what they refer to the facial process of the device, glow to facial.
I can appreciate all this information, but we have a lot to get into and we've already deferred it to the next meeting.
Sorry.
So
all right, yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to answer it. Yeah, I just wanted to answer.
You guys can try and get in contact with each other outside of here, but So does anyone have anything or would like testimony on vajacials?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Okay. Carrie.
I'm deferring to EO Peng on this one.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'm going to guess you folks know more about this than we did, but we did a bit of research on vajacials. So the understanding is that a vajacial is basically like a facial for the vulva area. It involves exfoliation, skincare, cleansing, applying toners and serums, masking, removing ingrown hairs and blackheads, and it can often follow waxing for that purpose. So you've been provided with an article from Healthline that has the opinion of an OBGYN from Stanford University Medical Center. I also wanted to direct you folks to the definition of an esthetician, which is in HRS 439A-2. That definition reads, esthetician means a person licensed in the state who, with hands or non-medically prescribed mechanical or electrical apparatus or devices, or by use of cosmetic preparations, antiseptics, tonics, lotions, or creams, engages for compensation in any of the following practices. And subsection 2 says, cleansing, exfoliating, wrapping, or doing similar work on the entire body without direct contact by the hands, and utilizing gloves, loofah mitts, or brushes. So with that background, what are the thoughts of the board on whether vajacials fall within the scope of an esthetician?
Don't know. My main concern is the products that they would be using on this area, because it's a sensitive product. And I know we wax. And we use, like there's ingrown serum, you put on the ingrown serums after you've waxed. So there are things that people do in that area.
These are already being done in Hawaii. I looked it up. There's spots offering it here. So
are they licensed estheticians doing it, or is it just random?
I mean, it looks like it looks like they're licensed estheticians around. I did a quick search on Instagram and Yelp.
I would like one of them to come and tell us why it is good, or why it should be under our scope, or under the board's licensees. Because I don't feel like this is enough, the article that we got.
No.
So given that the statute itself describing an esthetician allows for cleansing, exfoliating, doing similar work on the entire body, I guess my question is, I know that there's some hesitance about this, given we're talking about the groin, and the skin might operate differently than, say, a face, and how a facial might work. But for me, the question is, does sole question is, does this fall within the scope of an esthetician, given the language we have in our statute?
The language.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah, they're waxing and they're already performing facials. And a facial doesn't necessarily only have to be done on your face. I mean, you could do your chest and exfoliating on and a mask on your chest. And so this is literally, it's just specific to this specific area. And I feel that if a woman wants to be able to get that done, like here in this article, it says it's not medically necessary, but some women want to choose to get that done. And I feel like that does fall under the scope of someone who does and performs facials. So personally, I think so. Yes, I feel that that would fall under the scope of an esthetician if they're trained in that area and in that part.
So does that mean a cosmetologist gets to do it too, because they're under the esthetician license?
Well, yes, if it's within the scope of an esthetician, it's within the scope of a cosmetologist, because a cosmetologist does aesthetics, hair and nails. So leads to the question, if they're trained. Is this something that would be a certification on top of your schooling, or is this something generally taught in aesthetics? Would we?
When I went to esthetician school, and I didn't get my license, that's why I don't ever bring it up. But when I went to esthetician school, they didn't teach us that. But I'm also old, so I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe
I
they
looked
do
at the history of this too, and it's a recent type of trend that started not that long ago. But I mean, there are other things that hold history, right? Like yoni steaming, you know, I mean, there's a bunch of things that have a historical significance, you know, that people are doing. And this is fairly new.
We're putting more onto the boards. My concern is if it's under our scope, then now we have to monitor it, correct?
Yes. And is this something that should be monitored? Do we just want someone without a license able to do this?
Oh, no, but I'm just, but is it a medical thing or is it us? I don't know. Like, I guess the Korean scrubs, they go in and out of every place in your body. You don't, so I feel like if the esthetician is willing to do it, it's an aesthetic service. But knowing that it's under our, I would prefer a licensed esthetician doing it. And according to the verbiage, yes, it is under our scope.
So the answer is yes, it's under our scope according to the definition.
According to the definition.
So I guess that answers the question too about whether they need a certification for it. That's not up to the board, it's within the scope. That's what the board would determine. So the answer is yes, it's within the scope, but still under the any device that may be used while you're doing this, such as any UV light or whatever may be used, again, can't penetrate the epidermis layer, which is just basic standard.
Yeah, it's just like with the facials. I mean, until somebody brings us anything different, that's what we work with. So do I have, do I motion that we are, okay, I motion that vajacials are in the scope of practice for the board's licensee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we all vote in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Aye.
Oh,
Thank you so much, board.
okay, sorry, my brain. What happens if a guy comes in and says he wants a vajacial?
He gets a vajacial.
It's specifically,
If he can find an esthetician or cosmetologist willing.
Okay, all right.
it specifies in the vajacial though, it's the vulva area. So unless he has a vulva,
Yes,
then
okay.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
then there you go.
There you go. Thank you. All right, so executive officer report. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 8?
Thank you, Chair. We have a raised hand from Michael.
Michael, welcome.
I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for your time, and you guys have a beautiful evening. I'm leaving the meeting now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Okay, you too. Hello.
Oh my Lord, my goodness.
Sweet. Okay, so results of the NIC.
Thank you. So we have results from February, March, and April 2025. In February for barber, there were 11 candidates, 5 passed, 6 failed. For cosmetology, there were 5 candidates, 2 passed, 3 failed, although that's not what I have on my list, that's wrong. Just a moment. Let me restate that. For cosmetology for February, 9 candidates, 2 passed, 7 failed. That's the number that was wrong on my list that I wrote myself. Okay, for estheticians, there were 24 candidates, 10 passed, 14 failed. For hairdressers, there were 3 candidates, 2 passed, 1 failed. There were no instructor candidates. For nail technicians, there were 12 candidates, 5 passed and 7 failed. In March 2025, for barbers, there were 8 candidates, 4 passed and 4 failed. For cosmetology, there were 18 candidates, 4 passed and 14 failed. For estheticians, there were 60 candidates, 32 passed, 28 failed. For hairdressers, there were 4 candidates, 2 passed, 2 failed. For instructors, there was 1 candidate and that candidate passed. For nail technicians, there were 21 candidates, 9 passed. Hold on. Come on. 12 failed. And for April, candidates, there were 9 barbers, 6 passed, 3 failed. Cosmetology, 21 candidates, 6 passed, 15 failed. For estheticians, there were 41 candidates, 20 passed, 21 failed. For hairdressers, there were 2 candidates, 1 passed and 1 failed. For instructors, there was 1 candidate who failed the exam. And for nail technicians, there were 17 candidates, 7 passed and 10 failed. And that's all the results we have for this go around.
Alrighty, then on to item 9, 2025 legislative session. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 9?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Okay. Section A, SBA 1619, SD2, passed from the Senate to the House and passed from the first reading on March 6, 2025. The effective date was amended to July 1st, 2050 to facilitate further discussion. I do want to, is it okay if I bring this up?
Sure.
I do want to bring up that I have an idea because the compact for me is, I'm not quite sure how it will effectively work for us. But my thoughts are, could we create a program here in Hawaii that if a person moving from another state coming to the Hawaii can apply for a job with a licensed salon, and the licensed salon takes on responsibility for that person for the 1 year while they try to get their license. Now, if they're licensed from another state coming into our program, they come in, get a job, and they, almost like when you graduate from school, you get a temporary permit for 1 year. So the person, you would get a job at, let's just say they come to my salon, Hapa Heaven, and I give them a job. We apply with you folks. I take on the responsibility that for the 1 year that she's going to be working with me while trying to take the test or pass the test, that I take on her, make sure she continues to follow the rules of the state of Hawaii. I know it has to go through the legislature if we want to do this, I believe, and I want to work with one of the senators to do that. Do any of the board members have any, I mean, what are your thoughts on my idea? Because that would kind of work with what the impact is asking. Because we could have salon owners take on responsibility. They could work while they are trying to pass the test.
No, I agree. There should be a temporary permit, some way forward, so people don't have to wait to work until they pass their test. I mean, I think that's common practice in some other states as well. I believe New Jersey does that. They issue a temporary permit provided you're licensed in another state until you take your test.
And after the 1 year, if you do not pass the test, then you gotta go apply again. Like, then you have to stop working and you gotta, that would be the logistics we'd have to work out. But I feel that it's better than the compact, in my opinion, because I'm not quite sure how the compact works. But it does, what's the word? It's doing what the compact is asking. It's so that they can come in and work right away. So can we put that on the agenda for next meeting?
For discussion, sure.
Yes. And you guys can all go talk to people, think about ideas, and we can go from there. And so I don't have to motion, do I?
No.
Okay.
Just an idea that you'd like to put on the next agenda. So
What does it mean, effective 7/1/2050?
So basically what the legislature has said is that they're amenable to the idea, but they think there needs to be more discussion on hashing it out, and maybe they want to see the rules that the commission's going to write up before they make a decision. So they pushed out the effective date, which means we're not gonna join it right away. They may vote prior to 2050, but until 2050, it can come back to the legislature for more discussion.
So basically it didn't pass.
Correct. So we're not joining the compact at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard the guy from PSI.
Right.
He said that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he alluded to that, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Section B, SB 1620 relating to natural hair braiding. SB 1620 passed from the Senate to the House and passed the first reading on March 6, 2025. There was no further movement on the measure.
So that one's dead. It didn't move forward.
And then SB 1621, SD1 was referred to the Ways and Means Committee on March 4th, 2025, and there was no further movement on the measure. I was very happy with that one. I worked my okole off on that. Sorry, had to have myself on the back for that one. And then SB 1373 CD1 was enrolled to the governor on May 2nd, 2025, with an effective date of July 1st, 2025. So this is the relating to administrative licensure actions against sex offenders. So then section E, HB 1054 HD1 relating to administrative licensure actions against sex offenders. The Senate bill SB 1373 CD1 was moved to the governor. So does that mean we're just waiting for him to sign it?
Yeah, we're waiting to see if he signs it.
Okay.
It goes into law.
And then rules and committee report and review. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 10?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
So I'm thinking we might want to defer this. It's already 10-4.
Okay.
And this is when you go over rules, you go line by line. So it'll take a little bit of time.
Yes, I motion to defer to next meeting. Do I have a second?
I second. It was a race. You're pretty quick though.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so election of officers, is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 11? Nominations for chair and vice chair.
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
I don't mind staying as chair if you guys are okay with that. It's up to you guys. Unless somebody else wants to take it.
I'm
I'm
okay
fine
with
with
keeping
it.
the chair.
I'm good with it.
And now vice chair. Les is currently ours. Les, love you, but can I nominate Ashley? If Ashley will be vice chair.
Go right ahead.
Wow.
I didn't even ask her, so if she don't want it, like.
Yeah, Bless is okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I'm good.
Oh, well, thank you, guys.
All right, a motion to vote, Raynette Hall as chairperson and, Ashley Cornelio, as vice chair. Do I have a second?
I second.
And all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, now, next meeting is August 12th, 2025, at 12 p.m. And the meeting is adjourned at, what time is it? God, 3:51.
Thank you, board members. Appreciate your longevity for this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.